more than 60 years, Brits have been sold the dream of a new paradise life in Australia. And in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, more than 85,000 were born in the UK. They're drawn to the paradise beaches, lush rainforest, and the allure of exotic wildlife. This week we'll be going inside one of Australia's busiest animal hospitals with British boss Jonathan.
Look at your little cute fluffy one.
And we'll see what the Brits are bringing to Australia with Brummie couple Adrian and Lou.
That's how I remember a chip fork in the UK. It's wooden, it's two-pronged.
And we'll join Londoners Barbara and Graham as they retire down under.
You can never find perfection, but this is as close as you're likely to get.
Can British expats really find paradise down under? Where Queensland's subtropical forest meets the sun-kissed sands of the Gold Coast is Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary. It's home to one of the largest collections in the world of native Australian wildlife. For the last 3 years, the man at the helm of this Aussie institution has been a Pom, Jonathan Fisher.
It's one of the largest free-range areas where you can come and pat and feed a kangaroo in Australia. So it's, this whole park is really famous for being more Australian. We only really keep Australian animals here.
Australia's largest bird, the emu, is one of the sanctuary's biggest draws. Its distinctive call can be heard over a mile away.
You don't see these in the UK. I don't know what you're going to do to me now. He's backing off. Come on, we really quite like each other. Not today. You coming? Are you coming?
Talking to emus is a big career move for Jonathan, who trained as a chartered surveyor.
I wasn't a specialist in native Australian wildlife, so it's just one of those things. My career has changed quite a lot, and I started in property and ended up running deer farms in the UK.
After several years successfully running a National Trust property in the UK, Jonathan decided he wanted a change, and 10 years ago moved down under with his wife and children. His life in Australia started as a tourism sales manager, but 3 years ago he landed the top job at Currumbin. The park is home to one of the largest wildlife hospitals in Australia, specialising in the care of native Aussie fauna. Today, Jonathan is popping into the hospital to see senior vet Michael and to check up on a recent admission.
Michael and his team have been working on this for about a month now, something like that.
Yeah,
Would have been about
after 6 weeks now, I would think. Yeah, it's been quite some time.
Cassie is a black swan, a water bird that's native to Australia. She was brought into the hospital after falling foul of thrill seekers on the Gold Coast.
Where is she? Still in here? Cassie?
While swimming in a canal, she was mown down by a teenager on a jet ski. A local resident caught the crime on camera.
Oh my God, he hit the swan. I don't believe he did that.
This is one of the worst cases caught on film that anybody's seen, because it was a deliberate act, and you know, the consequences are an animal that's going to, you know, potentially have its whole life changed if it survives.
So she's been a great patient, and her wing here was really smashed up. All her bones were all exposed in this area, and but she's managed to tear all the ligaments quite badly in this joint, which on such a big bird is really quite an issue.
This jet ski was filmed doing a couple of loops around and deliberately ran it down.
The jet ski rider was fined $11,000 and sentenced to 180 hours of community service. But sadly, despite Michael's best efforts, Cassie's severe injuries eventually proved fatal. But with 1,400 other animals to look after, the conservation work has to continue.
This is normal life. I might be in a wildlife park, but I have to work on a blackberry, you see. It's not that wild. We're not on a frontier here. We've still got reception. Sorry. I've always had this dream of getting this perfect job in Australia, and I've got it. So, look, he's going to have a scratch. How cute's that?
30 miles across the green hills of the Gold Coast hinterland is Tambourine Mountain. With a cooler climate than the coast and monuments to a bygone Britain, it's a haven for expats who want the sun with a pommy twist.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Since coming to Australia from
Retired musician Barbara and her husband Graham moved down under 17 years ago to fulfil a dream of spending their twilight years in the sun.
2, 3, 4.
Since coming to Australia from old England shore.
Barbara first travelled to Australia in 1962 and fell in love with the straightforward Aussie way.
They call a spade, and that's what I like about them. In general, you know where you stand with people, and that's what attracted me to Graham, because he's a bit like that. So he's a real Aussie in character in many ways.
Since coming to Australia from old England shore.
But it was after marrying Graham in the 80s and holidaying in Australia that the couple decided to retire there.
Things that I adore.
One of their hobbies is writing and performing songs.
Spending pleasant evenings in an English inn.
They often take inspiration from Old England, which is easy on the mountain. There's even a British pub, shipped all the way from Kent.
These visions will never ever pay.
But not all memories are as rosy as an English inn.
London was overcrowded, very dirty. It could take you an hour to travel 7 miles to work. And then I came to Australia for a holiday, and there was the new world, literally.
The couple do have some good memories of England. Graham's particularly partial to a British delicacy.
When I feel like a meal, I want fish and chips. As a meal, it's the best that can pass your lips. Although it will show round your tum and hips, you can't beat good old fish and chips. There's a great deal of joy to be had from this. What more can I say? It's my favourite dish. As a meal, it's ideal, all that you could wish. Just chuck chips and then add some fish.
And Graham's not the only one. Down on the coast there are thousands of Poms with a taste for the best of British cuisine. Brummie chef Adrian has created a traditional fish and chip shop to cater for homesick Brits.
Some people haven't eaten this for 40 years, and the same as smells bring back memories, taste do as well, and the smell of the salt and vinegar being put on the chips.
There are plenty of fish and chip shops in Australia, but this is the only one with an authentic British approach, and the customers approve.
A mate of mine told me about it, and even though we've been here for donkeys, we didn't know. So we come over and we had it. It was a bit old school.
The main difference is we use cold water fish. There's nothing wrong with warm water fish, but each fish has got its own application.
Adrian's biggest sales point is cod. He's the only fryer importing it from the North Atlantic, rather than using the local barramundi.
We try and keep it to no frills, how you remember it. Yeah, the decor, the whole thing. One of the hardest things to get into the country for us, which we suss through now, is the chip fork. But that's how I remember a chip fork in the UK. It's wooden, it's two-pronged.
It's not just the forks. Adrian's had a fish fryer shipped over from the UK. It's a formula that's working. Even the Aussies are giving them a try.
Hello.
4 doors down from the chippy, Adrian's wife Lou has opened up a pommy grocery shop.
It's a little British community almost here, sort of one-stop shop. You get your chips, your curry and all your groceries and stuff like that. So
It's like being at home, isn't it?
yeah, a little piece of home anyway, yeah.
Lou has found out that expats will pay up to 4 times the UK price for products that have made Britain great.
British people are very passionate about their tea. You can't beat a British cup of tea. We then have to cater for not just England but Scotland and Ireland. So you've got your Barry's tea for the Irish contingent. We've got some Scottish tea as well. You can't have chicken without a bit of Paxo in it. And the stuffing over here, as much as obviously they do stuffing over here, doesn't taste the same as your Paxo. The Brillo pad equivalent over here rusts, and British Brillo pads don't rust. Mushy peas. We actually had this cabinet built. So this is actually air conditioned to about 19 degrees, which to me is the optimum temperature to eat British chocolate, and it still melts in your mouth. So we really look after our chocolate because I love chocolate, and so does a lot of other women as well. The world's my oyster here. We have a lot of last dying requests, which is really sad, and we have to sort of act on it very quickly. But people say, my dad's dying and he hasn't had a pork pie in 45 years and he wants a pork pie, can you ship it up to me? And we take things to the airport, put it on a cold storage and fly things all over, because if that guy wants a pork pie, he's having a pork pie.
Adrian and Lou first visited Australia 16 years ago, before settling down as a head chef and a marketing manager, and having their 2 sons.
We've been on that whole treadmill for so many years, high pressure jobs we both had, juggling 10,000 things, trying to make ends meet, and it was just like, I need to get off this conveyor belt.
We knew that the life that we wanted was across here, but we were shocked when we first got over here just how much, in the 10 years from before, how the price of everything could just moved on. It's not a cheap place to live by any means.
Adrian and Lou are making a success of their new life in Australia, but with a weak pound and Aussie house prices rising faster than the UK, paying for a paradise life can be difficult for Poms moving. Every year, thousands of Brits travel to Australia, enticed by its dramatic sun-kissed landscapes and unique wildlife. One of the country's most formidable creatures is the crocodile. They can run at over 25 miles an hour, have the most powerful bite of any animal, and are responsible for several deaths a year in Australia. One of the biggest crocodiles known anywhere in the world is on the Gold Coast. He's called Holy and lives in the wildlife park run by British expat Jonathan.
He had his 40th birthday last week and he had this really juicy big feral pig. It was already dead, don't worry, we didn't let him kill it. It was already past its best.
The most dangerous place to be in crocodile country is right near the water's edge.
The last time he was measured, he was about 5.3 metres long. I would fit inside him quite comfortably. He's a big boy.
The animal sanctuary isn't just a tourist attraction. Its wildlife hospital provides free healthcare for Aussie animals brought in by the public. No animal is turned away, even the smallest. The facility is a passion project for boss Jonathan and cost over $1 million to build. Today, senior vet Michael is performing a life-saving operation on a tiny marsh snake with a bowel obstruction.
Hasn't got as much fight now, has he?
He's starting.
Yeah.
A local resident found him asleep in their sofa. Noticing a lump in his stomach and unaware of his venomous bite, they brought him in. Once under general anaesthetic, Michael can open the snake's intestines to find out what's causing the life-threatening blockage. It's a palm seed, an odd meal for a frog-eating marsh snake. But with the blockage cleared, he's sewn up. A delicate job when the patient is only a centimetre wide.
What's that?
And an hour after going under anaesthetic, he comes round. For this Aussie creature, no expense will be spared in his aftercare.
Long term, we'll have him on antibiotics for about 2 weeks. Maybe look at feeding him in about 3 to 4 weeks. And if he feeds well and he poos well, then he's back out there and doing his things.
After the success of Adrian and Lou's British chippy and shop, the couple are looking to grow the business. Today, they're visiting new premises on the Gold Coast. They've decided to invest in expanding the Chumley-Warner fish and chip empire.
Along that way.
We want to take it to the next level. And to take it to the next level, you've got to put a bit more on the line. But I think that's what makes you kind of on the ball and really committed to making it work, because you've got to make it work, because you've got too much to lose if you don't make it work.
And they've got big ideas for the brand.
definitely across the whole of Australia, so that in every major city, you know, there's a Chumley Warner. And if anyone ever speaks about British fish and chips, they say Chumley Warners. We don't necessarily want to stop at Australia. We may tap into other countries.
It's almost like the beast has been let loose, and we've just got to tame it and keep it within parameters.
Back at the chippy, Lou and Adrian are already cooking on an industrial scale, and they're ready to take on the world. Today they're receiving another container load of Pommy products, shipped over 10,000 miles, to create that authentic British taste. And there's a ton of their magic ingredient, British ready-made batter.
It's like Christmas, really, isn't it? Just with big presents.
Adrian and Lou have big dreams, but in reality the cost of living in Australia is rising rapidly, and the couple can't afford to relax.
We probably never worked so hard in all our life, but it's been so much more rewarding as well. And I think if you're willing to kind of really push yourself, you can really set up a really decent life that's going to sort of, you know, take you through to retirement, etc. I don't think it's one of these countries to retire and not have a lot of money in. There's lots of expenses, lots of medical expenses. You know, you don't have the NHS over here.
Right.
Barbara and Graham's dreams of a stress-free retirement in Australia with no financial worries have not worked out as planned. They do receive a UK state pension, but it's been frozen at £54 a week, the same as when they left in 1994.
The exchange rate has dropped by about 33% since we came here. We are actually living on 66% of what we were living on in 1994.
This really has hit most people very, very hard out here when all they have is their income from the UK.
Because of their age, Barbara and Graham can never become Australian citizens and don't get the same healthcare benefits as those who are. This forces some British retirees to return to the UK permanently.
As you get older, you're more prone towards having illnesses and sicknesses which are going to cost you lots of money for treatment.
Consequently, people have died here simply because they haven't been able to afford the treatment. We think about it because obviously it'd be foolish not to think about it. But the trouble is we can't see ourselves living back there. That's our little dilemma. So we're having to hope that we keep in good health.
As soon as you've got the sunshine and the blue sky, it lifts your spirits regardless of how low you might be feeling over something. It's that I love more about Australia, because it's constantly lifting my spirits. You can never find perfection, but this is as close as you're likely to get.
Wildlife sanctuary boss Jonathan has also been feeling the financial pinch. The park's takings are nearly 30% down on last year, and coupled with his expensive animal hospital, he's having to take action.
This place is hardly viable. It's all about the visitor numbers, and if at the end of the day the visitor numbers don't improve, then sooner or later the buck's going to stop with me and I'll be out of here.
To up the sanctuary's profile, Jonathan's invited the press to hear the story of 3 baby echidnas. They were caught up in the floods that hit Queensland in early 2011, and they escaped by swimming through the raging torrents.
So he got washed out of the burrow, down in the floodwaters, and managed
Look at your little cute fluffy one to take home with you, okay?
With national news channels turning up, the press stunt has been a success, and Jonathan hopes it will attract new visitors to the park. Even with the stresses of keeping Currumbin afloat, Jonathan has no regrets about emigrating.
My life would have been undoubtedly getting on the 10 to 8 train from Guildford and going up to Waterloo, and I would have been valuing properties and stuff like that, and nothing wrong with that. A lot of my friends have done really well. In fact, they've done really well. And I often wonder whether or not I made the right decision, but I guess the big difference is when I walk out of my house here and walk down the hill and look across the Pacific Ocean, I'm being paid to live in an area and an environment that most of those guys have to work really hard for and go on holiday perhaps once in a lifetime.
Although these things are dear to me, I must explain. I think about the weather and the constant rain.
I could never see myself living back in the UK again. The thought of going back to the life we had before, I would feel like we've gone backwards.
So I must say I'm here to stay, there is no way I'd go back there. I still think you're too high.
How would you like to spend 14 nights in the beautiful Gold Coast of Australia? We'll be sending one lucky family of 4 off to stay in a gorgeous beachfront apartment in Surfer's Paradise. You'll be sent on an exciting outback adventure, get up close and personal with the animals at the zoo, and be given £5,000 spending money. To be in with the chance of winning this trip of a lifetime, all you have to do is answer the following question. What is the famous landmark in Sydney? Is it A, the Eiffel Tower, B, the Opera House, or C, the Statue of Liberty? To enter, call 0901 29 39 123. Calls cost no more than £1.03 from BT landlines. Calls from other networks may be higher and from mobiles will be considerably more. Or text A, B or C to 88444. Texts cost £1 plus 1 standard network rate message. Red button viewers can enter by pressing their red button now. You can also enter for free at itv.com. Entrance must be 18 or over and lines close at 10 a.m. on the 20th of July 2011. Entries made after closing time will not be counted but may still be charged. Next time. English surf pro Sarah thinks she's found paradise.
Australia is kind of the world's mecca of surfing, and it's the only thing that I want to do right now, really.
Animal volunteer Fred has a taste of freedom.
Such a big move to come over here. You can almost take on the world after that.
And distillery boss Michael is all shook up as his business takes a new twist.
And drink up and have fun. Good, cheers. Thank you.